So for those who are immensely focused on the premium and the discount to the balance sheet of the Bitcoin assets, that's only a part of it. And you need to kind of zoom out and think about the bigger macro picture and the supply demand and the marginal pressures of those particular actors. So for those who are immensely focused on the premium and the discount to the balance sheet of the Bitcoin assets, that's only a part of it. And you need to kind of zoom out and think about the bigger macro picture and the supply demand and the marginal pressures of those particular actors.
So that was Jeff Park talking about MicroStrategy. Stay tuned to the end. He goes into detail why MicroStrategy is so valuable, and it's not just because they have Bitcoin, but because of a lot of other factors. So I recommend you guys watch this one to the end. Aaron from the Bitcoin Bros here. Like and subscribe to the channel. We have new Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, crypto content coming out every single day. So make sure to like and subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into it. We currently have MicroStrategy at $395 before the open on Monday. So to speculate where the price could be, this is a little bit pre-recorded, but we can see Bitcoin is currently sitting at 99.5. When it closed on Friday, we closed around 99.849. So we are down a little bit, but pretty much flat for Bitcoin from the close on Friday to the current trading prices. Obviously, when the market opens on Monday, Bitcoin could be higher or lower, and that would definitely affect the price of MicroStrategy. So I don't think MicroStrategy is really going to have that big of a price move. We're probably going to get a big announcement from Saylor very soon. By the time this video is out, you guys may be watching an hour or two later. He probably has already announced the buy for Monday morning like he has been. But if you guys haven't, make sure to check out our MooMoo. They are a brokerage. You can sign up. You can trade MicroStrategy. You can trade MicroStrategy options. You can trade Bitcoin, any crypto, any other stock. We have an affiliate link with them that will be in the description below and the pinned comment section. You sign up, you get potential 15 free stocks. Each one of those stocks could be worth up to $2,000. So check that out and check out our Patreon. You can join our exclusive community, private community. You can DM one-on-one with us, ask us questions. Check that out if you guys want to. We also give call options and other things we're looking at in the market. But let's go ahead and get into some recent Bitcoin news here. And then we can see here what's just happened with Microsoft. We are now seeing with Amazon. A big shareholder came on and said, hey, you guys need to think about putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet. So they're going to be talking about this at the annual shareholder meeting for Amazon, which this year, they normally have it late May. I looked at the past couple of years. They normally have around the late May timeframe. So we're going to be looking at a late May date for this to be discussed at the annual shareholder meeting. So that's a time frame that you want to keep on your radar for this to be talked about with Amazon and the shareholders getting to vote on things like that. So watch out for late May there. And this also made me think about a post that we saw a while ago, and this was Jeff Bezos. It was the paparazzi. They took some pictures of him taking pictures of his new fiance on one of his yachts. But what's interesting with all this, Michael Saylor was spotted with Jeff Bezos around the same time. So it's interesting to think, has Michael Saylor been talking to Jeff Bezos and letting him know, like, hey, you should be putting some Bitcoin on the balance sheet? It would help Amazon get a lead on all the other top tech companies. And one thing to think about here with Microsoft and Amazon, they are very risk averse when it comes to things like this. But if one of them does it, I think the other FANG companies could potentially get FOMO. We could really just see a domino effect of if Amazon does it, then Microsoft does it, then Apple does it. And that means all the small tech companies would probably think about doing it as well. The mid-sized companies. And we know Tesla has already done it. They did it back in 2021. So just some speculation on my end, but maybe Saylor has been talking to Jeff Bezos. And then some quote here from Peter Schiff. Check out what he's saying now. This is his new narrative. Bitcoin has become a national security threat. It's one thing when private citizens voluntarily waste their own money buying Bitcoin, but it crosses a line when they bribe government officials to squander the public's money buying it. Bitcoin is now public enemy number one. This makes no sense to me. Peter Schiff believes in gold. We know the United States holds gold, but I think when Saylor came out And that clip went viral, him saying, hey, the United States should sell their gold and trade it into Bitcoin. I think it rubbed a lot of the gold bugs the wrong way. And Peter Schiff's not the only one. You can see this guy here. He's writing a huge report with 25 major flaws of Bitcoin and crypto in general. With this report, I hope to halt this move to sell gold in favor of Bitcoin. So these guys are freaking out. They don't want their portfolios to go down, but they're just scared to change with the time. Gold is a thing of the past. Bitcoin is the new gold. It's better for so many reasons. The up and coming generation wants Bitcoin. We don't want gold. You old guys are stuck in the past. Like, they need to understand that. And this is just doesn't make any sense. Bitcoin could help the United States if they put it on the balance sheet. Let's say Bitcoin goes to $10 million and they bought 1 million of it at $1 million. That's going to help the deficit, whether Peter or any other gold bud likes it or not. And Balaji had something to say to all this. He says Bitcoin will flip gold. It's already underway. He quote tweeted Jesse Colombo here. Bitcoin has been outperforming gold since its inception. Gold is an old asset of the past, and Bitcoin is here to take its crown. And that's probably what's going to happen, guys. It's not financial advice, but that's what we're the Bitcoin bros. Obviously, we believe that's going to happen, and we put our money where our mouth is. And I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this do too. And if that happens, it's going to be good for MicroStrategy as well and the rest of the entire crypto market. So yeah, I want to get into this clip though from Jeff Park. He explains why the convertible debt offerings for MicroStrategy are so important. Highly recommend you watch this one to the end. Like I said, like and subscribe for more content every single day. But let's go ahead and check out the clip. Appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end as well.
So the thing that I always tell my TradFi friends when they ask about what is going on with MicroStrategy, how could it be worth so much more than the Bitcoin that's on its balance sheet? I immediately tell them that's the last thing you should be concerned about. The first thing you should ask yourself is, why are people buying the convertible bonds of this capital structure without there being enough supply, and this is being gobbled up? That's the first question you have to ask. And then you have to understand the investment management industry is built off of an apparatus for which performance is a big factor in how asset gathering works. And if you look at all the corporate bonds in America over this year and recognize where your peers have outperformed you as a benchmark or not, one asset sticks out. It's MicroStrategy bonds. Those bonds are up 200+% this year in ways that no corporate bonds could ever behave that way with the scale that MicroStrategy provides. And so if you're a fund manager, you might not know anything about Bitcoin. You might not even know about MicroStrategy, but it popped up on your Bloomberg. And now you're thinking, man, what is that thing that I have to own? Because all the other folks who had it are beating me. And now I need it to even compete on an index basis that is the investment management industry. So what I'm trying to hint at is that the credit paper itself has some scarcity value. There are people that want it and cannot get it. And once you introduce scarcity to the financial services industry outside of the hard asset of Bitcoin, you can do a lot of funny things. And pricing is irrational and it becomes emotional. And what we have seen play out this year is a magnificent and almost surgically and clinically accurate delineation of that investment thesis. The credit essentially is a vehicle that is subsidizing equity with leverage in ways that benefit the residual. And if you imagine how under-levered MicroStrategy generally is and how much more leverage could potentially be introduced, the kinds of dilutions that would be anticipated through those convertibles makes MicroStrategy maybe the only asset in the world where people are excited to be diluted, which is in itself the most counterintuitive thing. This is why TradFi people don't understand it. Why would you buy something when there's ATMs completely diluting you all the time? And this may be the asset where actually dilution is the goal of the long-term thesis of value accrual. That's why when they came out with the $1 billion convert plus equity program, the stock ripped. And so it's financial engineering at first. The second thing is you have to recognize capital structure arbitrage works in a way where equity is the last piece of seniority for which leverage is subsidizing some of those gains. So there's inherent leverage with MicroStrategy, which is why it does behave with extra volatility and beta to Bitcoin. That should make sense to most people.
Uh,
And then the third thing is, well, how is MicroStrategy doing it? And it does then come to Bitcoin, which is that there really isn't any other way to do it without bringing volatility into this apparatus I just discussed, where credit investors don't want volatility, equity investors want volatility, and you're arbing it. And that's a beautiful thing. Once that made sense to me more clearly, and who are actually the people buying the converts, I realized that this is maybe the most imaginary monetary experiment of our times for a corporate balance sheet and a treasury.
mm,
If you think about where the government is today in wanting to bring ideas of yield curve control back to bring some elements of quantitative easing into the macro system, I see convert issuances almost as a kind of a yield curve control of what a corporate issuer can do with an underlying asset that is Bitcoin.
mm,
And that perspective is actually more of a macro investor than it is a long short equity value-based discounted cash flow approach. So for those who are immensely focused on the premium and the discount to the balance sheet of the Bitcoin assets, that's only a part of it. And you need to kind of zoom out and think about the bigger macro picture and the supply demand and the marginal pressures of those particular actors. Now, there's also a technical thing, which I should mention. There are elements to which I think the capital structure is still really clean at MicroStrategy. I mean, there is no actual secured debt, for example. There's no first lien, second lien debt. It's all unsecured. So there's room for more leverage, actually. There's also more room for pref equity. There's all kinds of things you can do to continue to juice the equity. This is the core of what corporate treasury strategies ultimately are in capital efficiency driving goals. And then the second thing is there's events like index inclusions and other things that could happen in the near future that create technical demand regardless of the fundamentals. And those things are also important.